Hey guys, what's up? It's Brandon from BrandonMLewin.com. Hope you're doing fantastic. So I'm going through some video here of clips from the 25, or I should say the 23-hour Chirp Chirp extravaganza that we did back in February of 2015. Have a lot of great information. You can see the full video on the website. But I'm cutting up some of this stuff so I can give it to you guys periodically. Also give it to you in a format that you can do it. You don't have to watch the whole 23 hours to get some of this great and valuable content and information that we share. One of the great guests that we had on there, which were just one of many. I mean, we had about 15 total great and phenomenal guests on there. But we had Guy Kawasaki. You know him from being the chief evangelist for Canva. He also was a chief marketing evangelist for Apple. He's written 13 books. He has one out right now, The Art of Start. He also has The Art of Social Media, which both are just fantastic books. You need to go check them out. He did a 30-minute interview with me in the event. I have it cut up. You're going to watch it right now. But I just wanted to give you full transparency that the video and audio don't really sync very well. The quality of the recording was not the best, and it's okay. It happens, right? But it is really about the content. So go ahead, take a watch, listen, enjoy it. He's got a lot of great stuff. He talks about social media, big mistakes that people make. He talks about authorship. He also talks about Steve Jobs and working with him and entrepreneurs. So there you go. Have it. Enjoy it. Make sure you go to the website. Check out some more at BrandonMLewin.com.
Can you hear me now?
Morning, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, geez. My God.
Sorry about that.
That's even harder than Google Hangouts on air. And Google Hangouts on air are impossible. Sorry about that.
No worries. It's a little tricky, but once you get it, you got it. So
yeah, just keep booting till you get in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep pushing buttons till something works.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Everyone's really excited about having you on, and really appreciate you taking the time out. So just had some questions for you. So real quickly, I did a little intro for you. Everyone knows who you are.
I was there doing all that. I heard all of that.
Good. Awesome. All right. Did I do it justice?
Yeah. Well, you can only you only have so much material.
Yes, exactly. Well, again, like I said, when I was introducing you, you've been instrumental to the book, and a big part of what we're doing here today is about the book. And so I want to thank you so much because Ape was phenomenal, and I think even some other people on here are authors talking about Ape and just how wonderful it is. So thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for buying the book. You got it for free.
I did. Based on the books too, the art of social media, I'm reading, and I bought that one. So I love it. Love it. It really talks about. There's a lot of what we're talking about today is in the book, but it's really straightforward. What inspired you, what makes you want to create books like these? Because I feel like that one and Eight are very straightforward how-to guides, and I don't see a lot of people like yourself doing stuff like that.
Well, it's basically royalty.
Loyalty?
Royalty. With the art of social media, my co-author, Peg Fitzpatrick, she really convinced me. It took her 6 months to convince me to write that book. I kept telling her, well, there's so many blog entries about social media. There's so many other books. What could we possibly add? And then I started looking at all these things, and man, there's a lot of crap out there. And a lot of it is just pure duhism. Like, you need to be engaged. You need to be open. You need to be interesting. You need to add a graphic. And I kept looking at all these duhisms, and I said, well, somebody should write a lower level book about, you need a great profile. but what exactly does it mean to have a great profile? How do you get a great profile? So this book is not so much about the what, it's about the how.
That's great. Yeah.
All my books are like that. I'm into how. I'm not into like, thank you very much. You told me that a mega train is going to be, greater information access. Well, that's fantastic. Now what?
Yeah, I think it's really instrumental. I mean, because there's so many people who talk about theories out there, and not enough people like yourself that really spend time, talking about the how. And that's why I created the book for Twitter, was because there wasn't really a how book out there, and people need it. I mean, more now than ever. So, thank you.
Yeah, I love sites like Life Hacker, where they tell you that this is how to boil an egg. Not the concept that, eggs are good sources of protein. Thank you very much. I really needed to learn that. But tell me, how the hell do I boil an egg so it take the shell off?
Exactly. That's a good idea. Maybe my next book is I'll just take all the questions I ask my wife about how to cook or how to do this and just put it into a book,
Even better, why don't you have your wife write the book?
Exactly. So, speaking of social media and everything, from your perspective, what do you think is the biggest mistake people make with social media?
Oh man, there's a lot of mistakes. So one mistake they make is that they don't push it hard enough. That they think that somehow, if they tweet something once, that's all they can do. People will get mad if they tweet it twice. So that's one that, they're afraid, rather than trying to gain the upside, they're afraid of the downside. So, that's a sorry way to lead your life, where, specifically in social media. So let's say you post something and, tens of thousands of people like it, but 5 complain. And I think a lot of people are more worried about the 5 complaints than the thousands of people who liked it, because the thousands of people who liked it didn't necessarily express themselves. And so, my theory with social media is if you're not pissing somebody off, you're just not using it right. That's number one. Number two would be that people should always add a graphic or a video to every single post. And many people don't do that. And the third is that the way people make a snap judgment about you on social media is your avatar and profile. People need to fix that. You can't leave it to this crappy cell phone picture that they took with their flip phone, 6 years ago after a frat party that there were 20 people in the picture and they popped their head out of it. Wake up. Man up. Get a good avatar.
Yeah. You don't want a picture of a cup, you want a picture. That actually brings up a really good point, because when I was reading The Art of Social Media, that was something in the beginning that you talk about is the avatar and how you describe it. I mean, I never really thought about it from that point of view. And notice in your pictures, it's like, bam, it's God right there, and not a lot of people do that. And that's
the purpose of an avatar is to convince people that you're likable and trustworthy and competent. And so, you can't do that with a tiny picture of you standing next to your surfboard in front of your Mustang next to your dog. I mean, people can't even pick out what the hell those things are, or if that's even you. So, social media is more like Tinder than it is like eHarmony. People are going to give you 2 seconds to make an impression. So
it's a great point, and it really that translates over all the social media sites too.
Yeah. It translates to life, really.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you read old school sales books, people always talk about it's the first impressions, how to come dressed, and same way in social media. If you look good on your pictures, it's clear, you look happy, people are going to more likely to talk to you.
Yeah. I have a theory that people are going to hate, but generally speaking, men look better than their avatar, and women look worse in real life. That's my theory.
That's a good point. That's great. So, we have today is not only about Twitter and social media, but it's about entrepreneurship and a lot about that is what do you see as a lot of advantages, or what are some advantages for people for entrepreneurs specifically on Twitter?
Specifically on Twitter?
Yeah.
Well, specifically on Twitter, you can just blast it out, right? So I think the 140 character limit is actually good because it evens the playing field and it forces you to be concise. It's definitely a push mechanism as opposed to sort of going back and something already. And everybody has it, so there's a lot of advantages. I mean, all of social media is fast and free and it's everywhere. So, 10 years ago, if you wanted to make a splash, you advertised in the Wall Street Journal, or at an extreme, you bought a Super Bowl commercial. Well, probably even with a Super Bowl commercial, more people see it on YouTube than on the Super Bowl.
Sure.
So, social media is the best thing that ever happened to us.
That's absolutely right. Well, there's a documentary, I forgot what it's called. It's all about branding. And, they talk about Chanel spent $20 million on a video, on a commercial.
$20 million?
Huh?
That's a lot of perfume.
Yeah, yes it is. And they did it in the sense that because they had like Nicole Kidman in it, and and it got like 2 million views or something like that. It was a very small amount. And then Pepsi did it differently with the grants, and they did it on YouTube, and they were getting people giving away money essentially, and they got like hundreds of millions of views on that, and just and the tweets and the Facebooks and all that stuff. So it shows you like you can spend money, but if you spend money the right way, social media is the way to go.
Well, I think an even better test would be to spend no money to see what you can do.
Yeah.
So I'll give you my shining example of this. There's a guy named Marquise Brownlee, and he specializes in reviewing gadgets like phones and computers and smartwatches. So he's a senior in college, someplace in New York.
Okay.
And he shoots the video in his dorm room, and he has something like 2 or 2.5 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So he's not Kim Kardashian. He's not Will.i.am. He's not, Kanye West. He's not Paris Hilton. He's none of these things. Right? He's like 22-year-old kid in his dorm room. 2 million YouTube subscribers. If you look at when he posts on Google Plus or YouTube, he gets literally thousands of plus one. Literally thousands. And so, as a marketer, you ask yourself, well, not that they will face this choice, because of course you would make them all to happen. But if somebody says to me, well, to get a story about your new phone in Verge or Mashable, Fast Company, or Wired, or CNET, or you could get Marquise to review your phone, 2-minute video. Guess which one I would pick?
Marquise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lori actually asked Lori King in here. She asked, "What was it? Is it Marquise? What's his full name?"
Marquez Brownlee. Brownlee.
Brownlee. Okay.
Yeah, I'll get his.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat if you want to.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I really know how to use the computer.
I would hope so.
I did that. I didn't have my people do that.
So I recently, I have a friend of mine. His name is Matt Dickman. I believe you know him. He works for a publicist, one of the publicist agencies, and I was talking to a few other people too. Actually, Bruce Salen, who's going to be on talking too from Dad Chat, and both of them brought up a very good point that I actually felt completely the opposite about, which was if you have a huge discrepancy in Twitter and your followers and your following, you actually get looked at as more of a jerk and arrogant than anything else. And unless you're like a big name celebrity, I mean, like yourself, you have, over 1 million people, but you still are following 107,000 people. I mean,
well, okay. So the reason why I am following 107,000 people is because when I started with Twitter 7 or 8 years ago, I believe Robert Scoble. And what Robert Scoble said was, as a courtesy, anybody who follows you, you should follow. So at the time, there were these programs that would automatically do that. Somebody follow you, it follows them for you. Okay?
yeah,
So, I got that, and I used that program until I reached 300,000. And then I discovered that following 300,000 is pretty much useless. And one of the consequences nobody predicted about following a lot of people is if you start using things like Flipboard. So there was this mental path of thinking that said, we're going to look at who you follow, see what content they're posting, and send you that content because the people you follow, obviously we trust and like, so they can act as filters and curators for you. Okay?
yeah,
Well, that theory doesn't work if you followed everybody who followed you. So then I found a service where I was paying like a penny each or something for someone to manually unfollow everybody who followed. And several times I contacted Twitter and I said, Twitter, can you just wipe out the people I follow? Just take it down to 0. I want to start all over. And no, we can't do that. So this is in kind of direct contradiction to what you just said, which is if you are followed by 1.4 million people and you follow 500, you should look like a jerk. Well, I guess you could come to that conclusion, but I would say that, listen, if you have a really great avatar and you have a really great profile and you tweet really interesting stuff that has value to you, stuff that's information, analysis, entertaining, helpful. Well, one of the last data points is somebody's going to look and say, guy, 1.4 million people follow you, you follow 500, you must be an asshole. I mean, that is so far down the list of factors. And if you are an asshole, it's so much more likely that you're going to display your assholeness with your tweet than that face. Frankly, I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I agree with you. That's what my original philosophy was. That I always thought that like if you want to follow people that you want to hear from, right? I mean, like because on Twitter especially, if there's so much noise going on, you can either go with the philosophy of following everybody that follows you or building some type of communication with them, but then you're going to have to hear all 20,000 or 107,000 people. And that's a lot of stuff to go through. And so if you really want to talk to people, hear what those people are saying, then maybe it's just a smaller amount. So, but I also scored twice yesterday. I also see that the point on building a community too. But I feel like that half the people who go out and who are following 20,000, but also follow 20,000. Kind of do that just to get that 20,000 to follow them.
Yeah. I don't know. If you really want me to be completely transparent,
yeah,
I use social media to push stuff out. So I very seldom use it to find the only place that I look at what people are posting who I have circled is Google Plus. Because even today at Twitter, I can't do it on Twitter because I still have this 100,000, right? So that's useless. And so I use Google Plus. So I of all people, I have this tremendous need to see the content monster because I believe I should post 20 to times a day. And so I basically piggyback on the efforts of others. I look at what a small circle of people do on Google Plus. I look at All Pop. This is a site that I created to aggregate content by topic. And I look at Google Plus What's Hot. And besides that, I'm basically pushing, not pulling.
Okay.
So I'll let me get the link circle of people that I follow. So these are the people that I follow what they do on Google Plus to find content. And I hate to tell you, but there are only 14 in the world.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's a great conversation to have. It's a debate. Really, it's a philosophy. I mean, it's a personal one when it comes down to it. Yeah, but it's always made me think though, because I felt one way, and then I was talking with these other guys, and they just completely kind of shifted my mind on all this. So, thanks for sharing that. I think that was really, really helpful. So I know we only have a couple more minutes with you. I wanted to get some questions in here too. So one that I had, that you got a chance to work with Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah.
What was a moment or conversation, or maybe even an event that really impacted your life the most with working with him? Everyone talks about him and his leadership and the type of person he was. Was there some sort of impact that he had on your life?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would be like making cappuccinos someplace in a coffee shop right now and stuff. So, I am where I am because of him and my work in the Mac division. He was a remarkable person. I don't use the visionary word often. In fact, I think of only two people in American history I would apply American business would be Steve Jobs and Walt Disney. And maybe a third is Elon Musk. That's it. Not every freaking clown who says, "Oh, I'm a social media visionary. I have Snapchat but 8 seconds." So okay, great. Um, so so what Steve taught me was that people can't describe what they really need. They only describe evolving what they already have. He taught me that you should always hire people better than yourself. He taught me that fear works as a motivating force because I was definitely afraid of him. Um, he definitely taught that there is a higher standard than mediocrity. Good enough is good enough. I learned he was very formative working for him. All the books you read about him and all the movies, they're all kind of true. That he didn't register his car, he parked in the carpool lane. I mean, he drove in the carpool lane, he parked in the handicap slot, all that. But I think the danger with watching the movies and the book, reading the book about Steve Jobs is you look at what he did, and it's very hard to separate causation and correlation.
Yeah.
So, to use an extreme example, you could buy a black system, not register it, drive it in the carpool lane by yourself, park in the handicap slot, and you would still be an incompetent person. Okay, so that doesn't cause you just.
Yeah. It's
Have I let you speak?
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. He was. I mean, I only know from what I've read. So that's why I was like turning to you to talk to you about a person who's actually lived and worked with a man.
Yeah.
And that's the point of view. That's where you really want to get the stories from. But everyone talks about him being a jerk, but everything I've read, it just seems like he was just who he was, and he was different. And those are the people that changed the world. That's essentially what he did. And
yeah. So don't get me wrong, okay? I mean, he was a very difficult person, but he was a very difficult person who was totally awesome in terms of vision and taste and prediction of what people would want or the ability to make people want what he created. He was off the scale. There's never been anybody like him in the history of man except for maybe Jesus. Okay, so there was Jesus and there was Job, in between, right?
Yeah.
And so the danger with somebody like that is that he had an operating system that I think mere mortals like me cannot fully comprehend. And so it's very difficult to draw meaningful lessons from him because he was so off the scale. So it would be kind of like if you try to emulate what Tom Brady does, it doesn't mean you're going to be Tom Brady.
Exactly.
He has certain physical, mental, whatever attributes that you just don't have. But that's not to say you can't be inspired by something or inspired by some stuff. But I don't think you can try to copy them.
No.
So that, take what they do and take the best, take what you can apply, and move on.
I think the biggest lesson that anyone could really learn from even a person like Steve Jobs or others who are great at what they do is just everyone is who they are. They just accept who they are, and then they embrace it, and then they work towards what they have, their strengths. And that's what Steve Jobs was. He didn't care what people thought about him. Or at least that's how I perceived it. I mean, you obviously knew him, but it seems like he just did what he wanted to do, and that was it.
Yeah, well, I think the key is that he did what he wanted to do, and by golly, he was right. There are a lot of people doing what they want to do, and they're wrong. Right? So, and the reason why we all know about Steve Jobs was he did what he wanted to do, and he was right. There are a lot of clowns who did what they wanted to do and was wrong. So, but it's not an actionable strategy. Your strategy in life cannot be get lucky.
Yeah. Seems like it's a big part of a lot of people's strategy.
It is. My strategy is it's better to be lucky than smart. But let me add, the way you get lucky is work your ass off.
There you go. Yeah. Give you more opportunities to get lucky.
Yeah.
So does anyone? I know we only have a few more minutes, but does anyone have any questions specifically for Guy? Now that we have him on here, I know there were a few in the beginning. Just want to make sure we can get everyone's answers here. And again, thank you, Guy. I mean, it's been. Okay. No, that's not a question for you.
Handle this guy. Well, I'm sorry I had these technical difficulties. Believe it or not, I was washing dishes and I lost track of time.
Oh, yeah, no worries. At least you're honest, though. Let me see. There was one question up here at the top.
People are just not interested in me anymore. I'm a hazard.
It's because you're everywhere nowadays. That's also something else I wanted to just give you a little praise for. Is I reached out to you to ask you to come on here, and I reached out to a lot of people, and it's either I reached someone's agent or there was absolutely no response whatsoever. And I really I praise you because I personally think that everyone should be grateful and give back a little bit. And obviously, time is of the essence nowadays. But thank you so much for just taking a little bit of time.
Well, I'm really interested. So, about how many people did you contact? And then, how many people responded, and how many people said yes? What was your funnel like?
So from a thought leader perspective, I reached out to, I'm gonna say 7 people.
Yeah.
And you were the only one that responded, and you were the only one who said yes.
Really?
Yes. I mean, other people that are involved in today, are, people that I've already had some sort of contact with that are, somewhat thought leaders in their own space. But, like Bruce Salen, like we talked, he's part of the book, he's in the book. So, reaching out to people like that wasn't difficult, but it was, I reached out to, Gary Vaynerchuk and got his agent. And I remember when Gary, though, was very accessible. And, I've had a few email exchanges, but now it's like he's too big to,
What did well, I'm kind of surprised with Gary. What exactly does Gary's agent say to someone like you?
Oh, well, it wasn't him. It was his agent. It went directly to.
What did his agent say?
He said his agent said, I asked him, I thought it was going to Gary, so I put in some jokes in there and stuff that I knew about him. And I was like, hey, I'm willing to barter. I don't have any, budget. And then he's like, the agent's like, well, Gary's he's got a lot of time. He gives away his time. What kind of budget do you have? I said, I don't have a budget. He's like, do you have a flexible budget? I was like, do you not understand? I don't have a budget.
Wait, the agent was trying to make you pay Gary to come out to it?
Yes.
And I did it for free?
Yes.
Well, that's why Gary's going to buy the New York Jets, and I can't afford a ticket.
Well, I really do appreciate it. And
Wait, so Heidi Miller has a question about the changes in Amazon KDP. So, well, I don't know, what changes happened? Something big happened lately? I got to make sure I'm addressing the right question. So, Heidi, if you're listening, what changes are you talking about? But I have to tell you that prior to what Heidi tells me now, I think Amazon KDP is just a fantastic program. That from an author's point of view, I self-publish 2 books. Those e-books sell for $10. I get $7. So 70% royalties. Holy cow! That's really like 60% higher than anything else.
Yeah.
And even on the printed version, I make about. On a $15 book, I make about $7. So hallelujah, you can't do that with a publisher. And they have all the services. If you want your book to go on tape, they own Audible. There's a process for you putting up a sample of your book, and you get auditions. And you do this Kindle, you reduce price to 99 cents, and it explodes. I love Kindle. I think Kindle program for self-published authors is absolutely fantastic. It's probably 80% of the action. If I were a self-published, starting author today, I would focus primarily on Amazon. No question in my mind.
Absolutely. There's a guy out there that does, he's produced like 40 books just on Amazon and makes a pretty good living off of the royalties off of it.
Yeah.
So that's a question I actually was interested in. So you produce, you've done some self-publishing, right?
Yeah.
How do you make that decision when you?
Okay, so like a book, I self-published 2 books. So What the Plot about Google Plus, and I wrote that several years ago, and that was before any publisher did Google Plus. So I didn't even bother trying to get a publisher. And then I wrote 8 on the publisher on the store, and that book is how to not use traditional publishers. So guess what? Most traditional publishers are producing a book about not using traditional publishers. Duh. And then, so this last book, Art of Social Media, literally, Peg and I were going to self-publish it. Okay, this is a true freaking story.
Okay.
We're going to self-publish it. We were all set. We had a copy edited, cover, everything. We were ready to go. So just on a whim one day, I sent it to my agent. My agent loved it. My agent sent it to my publisher. My publisher loved it. And they made me an exam offer. I had to shut down my computer. I was laughing so hard. And so I said, let's go traditionally publish. And so if nothing else, one of the benefits of self-publishing, I truly do believe, is that it enables you to prove yourself, right? And now that's on several levels. So for a first-time author, if you self-publish and the book does well, the book might be acquired, and spread out even more. So this is kind of the 50 Shades of Grey theory, right? So you self-publishing food. Next thing you know, it's food, well, food. Somebody buys it. So that's one path. Second path for someone like me is, I think by self-publishing and doing well with both books, I can't tell you I plan it, but basically I put out the message that if you don't acquire the next book, I will self-publish it and do well anyway. So I have an alternative. This means show me the money.
Yeah.
And by golly, I think the book.
Awesome. That's so
All righty. So